these are really hard videos for me to do. Um, because the idea of hardware reviews, I don't know what to make of them. So the review embargo is up for Switch hardware, so I can review the Switch as a piece of hardware. So the things that come with it and the stuff that it does. But that's kind of weird for me because I judge hardware based on I judge gaming hardware based on the software that it plays because it's a video game machine and I play video games on it. So I look at the hardware as how it facilitates the software that comes out. And as of right now, my whole experience with the Switch has been with Breath of the Wild. Um, Outside of some, very quick hands-on at press events and stuff like that, the bulk of my time with Switch has been Breath of the Wild. So I don't know. I don't. It makes it very hard for me to review the hardware because I feel like I haven't even like scratched the surface of what the Switch can provide. So let's look at it like this. There's lots on the Switch that I can't talk about as far as hardware goes because I haven't had the chance to experience it. I can't tell you anything about the eShop experience. I can't tell you anything about going online with the system. I can't tell you anything about using voice chat or downloading games or posting pictures on social media. I can't tell you any of that. I can't tell you how downloaded games play. I can't tell you anything about that process. I also can't tell you about HD Rumble because I'm playing Breath of the Wild, which doesn't support HD Rumble. So HD Rumble, as far as I'm concerned, is a major aspect of the system. So there's a lot of elements that I haven't had not only some time with, I haven't had any time with. So that leaves me in an awkward position. The embargo's up, but I don't feel it's right for me to review the system right now. And that's not saying I'm feeling like what I have had hands-on time with isn't any good. I just feel like it's not fair. I don't feel it's fair for any product for it to come out and say it has features A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you get to do A, B, and C. So I can give you, I'm going to give you more impressions in this video of my time with the Switch, but I can't offer a final review because I haven't experienced at least what I feel is the majority of what the Switch can do. So what have I been doing with my time with the Switch? I've been playing Breath of the Wild. That's the one thing I've been doing. I've been playing Breath of the Wild on the TV. I've been playing it on the Switch screen. That's what I'm doing with my time. That is the one thing I'm using the Switch for. I sit down, I turn it on, and I play that game. And again, I can't talk to you about that game yet. The review embargo for that is later. So all I can tell you is my experience of just interacting with the Switch on a very basic level of just a little bit of menu navigation and then the act of playing games. And obviously, the act of playing games is an important part of the Switch because it's a video game system. So perhaps I'll revisit things in the future once I get more hands on with what I feel is the bulk of what the system offers. But let's get into just playing the Switch. So by and large, I've spent most of my time playing the Switch with it in TV mode, and I'm using the Joy-Cons connected to the grip controller. And when you first get a new piece of hardware, you're like worried about breaking everything, and you're worried about how you're using it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do something wrong, I don't want to break anything. But the good thing is, in my opinion, I don't feel like the Switch isn't a sturdy device or something you have to worry about snapping pieces off of or breaking it or, holding it incorrectly and ruining something. I go through the same ritual pretty much every time. So I start with the Joy-Cons connected to the Switch. I turn on the system. I slide the Joy-Cons off. I do it one at a time. I hold the little button in the back of each Joy-Con, slide it off, slide off the other side, and then push them both into the Joy-Con grip until they click, and then I sit down and I play. And now it's become second nature. It's a routine I do because when you slide the Joy-Cons back into the Switch, they charge. I've never had the Joy-Cons run out on me. I don't plan on playing for 20 hours all at once. And that's the battery life as far as I have heard. So I've never had them run out. I've never had them notify me that they're going to run out. And I don't think that's going to be an issue. Like I said, you're going to have to play a ridiculously long amount of time to get them to drain if you're going in TV mode. I touched on this a little bit in my Breath of the Wild preview feature about how I've been using the Joy-Cons in a Joy-Con grip instead of holding them freehand. And that was just for my personal comfort level. And again, I feel there will be some games that are best suited to playing with the Joy-Cons freehand, and some where the grip will make more sense, or the Switch Pro controller will make more sense, and that's going to boil down to the person that's playing. But for me, when it comes to Breath of the Wild, the only game I can tell you about, I feel more comfortable in the Joy-Con grip. The way it certainly makes it feel like a more traditional controller, and that's what it is. You have the face buttons on the right, and then instead of the D-pad, you have the face buttons on the left as well. And it's it feels like pseudo camera buttons from the N64, or just a D-pad that's not connected in the middle. I haven't had any problems with it with Breath of the Wild, obviously, because you're using a lot of those buttons to change weapons and stuff like that. But when it comes to playing a traditional platformer, whatever that might be, because there's plenty of those coming to the Switch, using I won't know until I try, but I would imagine that pressing four separate buttons instead of one solid D-pad might not feel as good. Again, I'll have to do it to tell you, but I've used the buttons to navigate menus on the Switch, and that doesn't require specifically precise input like a platformer would. But I've been doing it like that, and that's perfectly fine. And I've actually done it a number of times and caught myself doing it and thinking like, oh, I'm using it just like a D-pad. It just never crossed my mind, or I just went right into it, because your fingers, if you've been playing games for a long time, naturally fall there for a D-pad, especially if you've been playing Nintendo games for a while. So I haven't had any issues there, but I really need more time with it, with something more traditional, where D-pad is a bigger focus for me to tell you how those buttons on the side feel. As for the rest of the controller, it feels good. The Joy-Con shoulder buttons and the two sets of shoulder buttons might take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm saying that now, and I've been playing it since Monday, and I'm fine now. But they're not as big as what you might be used to as far as shoulder buttons go. But if you look at they have a similar feel to the Wii U gamepad shoulder buttons, at least the further down set. But the ones that are actually on the shoulders of the controller are very narrow. But you use both of those when you play Breath of the Wild, so I'm using them a lot. And now, like I said, it's second nature. But there may be an adjustment period there, and some people might try them out and feel that they're too small for their hands, and that's why I'm not saying like, so they're too small for your hands, so you go buy another controller. Nobody wants to do that. You don't want to be like, well, this doesn't work for me, now I got to shell out another $80 for a controller, or whatever it may be. But the Switch Pro controller is there for people that are looking for something more traditional, and perhaps suited to bigger hands. But yeah, I haven't had any issues. Just it's hard to, because I've only had a bit over a week. It's hard to differentiate between the normal growing pains of getting a new console and learning the controller and the feel of the controller. And yes, it's true, Nintendo face buttons are generally in the same place and all that good stuff. But still, you have a new controller, so you're learning the feel of it. It's too early for me to differentiate between growing pains of a new system and any issues that I might have with the controls. But for me personally, right now, it's totally fine. The one thing I will point out on top of what I said is that the joysticks are perfectly fine, but they you probably have noticed they don't stand as high up as they did on the Wii U gamepad, or other game controllers for that matter. And when you push them, this is hard to explain. Not push them in like a button, but when you use them to like move your character around, they feel, I don't know if shallow is the right word, but let's put it this way. It feels like you can, or you're not pushing them as far as you would on another game controller. Like this distance from center position to edge of the joystick, whatever you want to call it, the edge of the joystick cradle, it doesn't feel like it's as far as a distance. And again, not a complaint. It's an adjustment. I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just something I noticed. But I felt it's something worth pointing out. The joysticks on his controller, by and large, feel similar to what you may have experienced on other systems, but they definitely have some differences with them. Then when you have the Joy-Cons out and you're playing with them attached to the Switch screen itself, it feels perfectly fine. Because, like I said, I'm using the grip controller where the Joy-Cons are, and then I take those same controllers and slide them onto the sides of the Switch. So it feels perfectly fine to me. And to tell you the truth, playing in handheld mode, it feels surreal. If I look at it and I'm like, wow, look at how much different. Well, look at how much more refined this is compared to the Wii U gamepad, and how much more it does in terms of portability and size. It's smaller too, so I hold on to it, and I'm like, wow, this impresses me. Seeing this going on, where 4 years ago we had what the Wii U did, I'm impressed with it. It feels good. I don't get tired from holding it. I don't have cramped hands, although my hands I would tend to think are a bit smaller. But I have no complaints in handheld mode. I can't think of anything that is particular to handheld mode that would be an issue for me as compared to playing in TV mode with the Joy-Cons. One of the key things for me about the Switch is ease of use. It's all very easy to do what you know the Switch does. So you know it's portable, you know it's TV, you know you can do both, and you slide controllers on and off. And there's no, like, hidden, oh, you have to do this, or oh, you can't do it that way, or don't do it like this. It's as easy as it looked to me, and it still feels as easy now. You want to play in TV mode, you literally drop the thing in the dock, and it takes 1 second, and the image is on TV. You want to play on the go, you slide the Joy-Con controllers. I guess I should say Joy-Cons instead of Joy-Con controllers. You slide the Joy-Cons into the Switch screen, and you pick it up, and you go, and that's it. There's no smoke and mirrors there. It's really as simple as it seems, and that simple approach bleeds into the user interface, which is something I've already discussed. But really, it's very impressive to me. Now, again, there's other menus I haven't used. I could go into eShop and be like, oh man, this is really sluggish, or oh, I don't like the way this is set up, or I don't like how this operates. But from the menus that I'm doing now, which is basic system settings and different user accounts, and then going into games and home menu and stuff like that. It's all very snappy. It's all very simple. It's all very, I don't want to say cut and dry, but it's just very easy to understand. There's no questioning what does what, and you don't really have to hunt around for anything. There's a couple little noises to go along with the menus, and I just feel it does a really good job of being simple to understand. And I know there's going to be people who see everything the Switch does and be like, it's not going to be as easy as they show it to be. And so far, it has been. And I know I've been playing games for a very long time, so some people might say that's not fair because for a newcomer, they won't know what to do. But for people that watch the commercial and, for people that are buying the system because they've seen it and they see what it does, I don't think they'll have any problems doing the basics of portable mode, TV mode, tabletop mode, slide the Joy-Cons on or off. So I don't have any issues there. As far as the Joy-Con wrist straps go, I know there's been some discussion about that. I haven't had any issues, but I haven't really used them a ton. I have slid them on and off, and, I followed the little direction on the thing, and that's that. But I'm not using those to play Breath of the Wild, so I need something like 1-2 switch before I can really get into a situation where I have to maneuver those around often and, actually use them to play something. So that's something I'll have to address later. I mean, what else really is there for me to say at this point? The system plays the game that I have, and I am comfortable with it, and it does what it says it's going to do, based on what I can do at this point. Again, like I said in a previous video, I feel like I need a year with the system before I can really look at it and be like, all right, this is how everything panned out. This is how I feel about this, that, and the other thing. Because there's so much I haven't done, and so much where you need more than a week or a little bit over a week's worth of time to really get a feel for. So that's my not review of the Switch. I'm sure there's questions that I didn't answer for you guys, whether because I don't have an answer or I just didn't even think to talk about them. So if you have a question, you can leave it in the comments below, and I will either go into the comments and address it, or I'll try to address it on this coming weekend's podcast. But either way, I will try and get those answers for you. So I apologize if some of this was a bit of a rehash, but I don't know what else to talk about without being unfair because I haven't had time with those things. Like I said, I can't talk to you about HD Rumble because I haven't used it at home with anything. So consider this an intro to my final thoughts on the Switch, let's say a year from now. Hey guys, RMC here from Go Nintendo. If you like what you saw in the video, why don't you give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe? We'd love to have you. If you want to see what else we're up to, you can check out GoNintendo.com for 24-hour Nintendo news. You can visit us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GoNintendo. You can check us out on Twitter at Twitter.com/GoNintendoTweet. And we're even over on Instagram at Instagram.com/GoNintendo. I put all the links in the description just to make it easier for you guys to follow. Thanks a lot.